Hey everyone, I am super excited to bring you today's episode of We Move Through Stormy Weather, featuring keyboardist Kevin Gastonguay. We're going to talk about his time playing with Cory Wong, geek out about keyboards, and get into his solo stuff. Keep listening in for that. Before we dive in, I want to take a minute to tell you about Versio Wellness. The Versio functional mushrooms are here to help right now, whether you are gearing up for a show, going to sleep afterwards, or recovering and restoring the day after. Using varieties like lion's mane, chaga, reishi, and more, the Versio concentrates the health benefits from these potent fruiting bodies into a supplement with a variety of applications. I take their lion's mane focus blend every morning and really enjoy the boost it gives me throughout the day. Order your Versio now with code STORMSOUND15, which gives you 15% off your order and ships anywhere in the US or Canada. Welcome back to We Move Through Stormy Weather, a podcast by Storm Sound. My name is Ryan Storm, and today I am joined by Kevin Gastonguay. Kevin is a composer, producer, and international touring musician based in Minneapolis. He is best known for his work as longtime keyboardist with Cory Wong. Kevin has 3 instrumental solo albums, one of which, called Last Place Dreamer, was released just this past month. His albums serve as a showcase for his chops in arrangement and production, and heavily feature his expansive collection of vintage and modern keyboards. Kevin has been a mainstay in the Twin Cities music scene for the past 15 years, recording, teaching, and playing with a variety of musicians and bands spanning many genres. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, man.
How are you?
I am great. Just sold a keyboard on Craigslist right before I met up with you. So
that's good.
It's good. It's hard. I have these keyboards. I have a lot of different keyboards, and it's hard to part with them, but I'm working on it,
What kind of keyboard were you just selling?
I sold a MS-2000, a Korg MS-2000, which is like a 2000s, early 2000s digital analog synth. And it's a cool, I've had it for a long time. It's got a really nice, like, Stevie Wonder bass patch sound on it. Ooh. That I really like kind of like Boogie on Reggae Woman kind of sound. And it's been sitting around. I just got I bought a new keyboard, and I'm trying to sell some old ones and trying to, get in the habit of that. So It's good. Actually this week I've sold 2 different keyboards, so I'm feeling good.
It just means you now have space to buy more newer keyboards.
Well, that's the whole thing. I got to pay off that Sweetwater credit card, so I can put some more things on it.
Exactly. Well, I'm really, really excited to have you on today. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So the two of us have been, kind of keyboard geeking on social media for a while now, like a couple of years, I think. Every time you there's a new Cory Wong release and you're doing something like crazy, and I'm like, oh, it's so cool. But yeah, I'm really excited to have you here. This is the third really episode of this podcast that's not totally fish centric, where just having a great conversation with a musician I love. So for the other 2 of those that are currently out, check out episode 23, where I talked to Zach Brock from Snarky Puppy.
Oh, nice.
And episode 24, where I talked to Jeff Arevalo from Goose.
Cool.
So those are great episodes for anybody listening. And of course, the other many, many fish episodes. And because this is primarily a fish podcast, Kevin, I know you're not much of an active fish fan, but you have had some connection to the music.
Yes. Just playing in the jam scene. I have been called. I've done a few fish tributes, so I've had to study, learn the music. I think I did like YEM.
Yeah.
I did that. That's the name of the song, right?
Yes, You Enjoy Myself.
You Enjoy Myself. Yeah, I did that. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, some guys hit me up and were like, "Hey, can we do this?" And I had actually played it maybe 10 years ago, so I was like, "Oh, let me see if I can remember it." And I didn't really, but I learned it. Then we did like a video thing where I did it at home, and it was a thing. But yeah, I've played fish. We do Waste with Cory sometimes, actually.
Yes, that was a huge surprise to me when you guys, because obviously, unlike with fish, when you guys are on tour, the set lists aren't posted everywhere. You guys have started recording every show, I think, more recently.
For actually most of it's Mostly we record almost every show.
Oh,
At least all the like club shows, festivals sometimes not. But Corey's been pretty active in for the last 3-ish years recording
mhm.
every show. But we should post a set list. That would be cool.
Yeah.
You know.
And so, in like mid 2020, when it was like, all right, we're gonna, Corey announced like we're gonna premiere this, big like homecoming show we did in Minneapolis last
Yep.
fall, whatever. And like one of the clips he posted was like Antoine Stanley
Antoine.
singing "Waste" with you guys, and I
Yeah.
was like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that was the only time we played it live, actually. Yeah, that's a great song. And we did it at First Avenue. I think it was like that last show before the pandemic. And yeah, it's a great song. We actually rehearsed it for this recent tour with Robbie from Ripe Wolfson.
yeah,
He was gonna sing it. We rehearsed it for this past. We just got for little context. We did a 16 date tour ish. Just got back like a week ago of the West Coast, Western United States, and we rehearsed it for that tour, but we never played it. So maybe on the East Coast we'll play it. I don't know.
I,
We'll see.
I'm personally sad you guys are skipping Toronto this year,
I know.
but
I
you
know.
know what? It's the show got postponed last year, and so it makes
Yep.
sense that don't want to risk that again. But I'm hoping I can make the Detroit one.
Right
My
on.
last time seeing you guys live was right before the pandemic in 2020, which
Okay.
was a lot of fun.
That's right. You couldn't make the summer. We did the summer festivals this year.
Correct. I was at summer camp as I have been
nice.
doing. Yes.
Summer camp. Yeah. Man.
So I do have so many questions and lots of things I want to go into about the live show with Corey and everything.
Sure.
But first, let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me about your musical upbringing. What you were listening to as a kid, high school, college, etc.
Sure. So I guess I have two older brothers. They started playing piano. And then, as my mom says it, I just started playing their stuff by ear. It was like I was like 4 or 5, and I just started playing, like displayed that I could play by ear and just kind of figure stuff out. So I had some natural ability. I got in lessons maybe when I was 6 and started doing like regular piano lessons with old lady down the street. That not
Nice.
like a great teacher, but got some of the basics done.
That's where the chops come from. The old lady down the street.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then I started playing drums when I was in 4th grade.
Got it.
Percussion. Got into percussion lessons. Took from a great instructor. Started learning mallets. The whole percussion gambit. Got into drumline. Was really into drumline. Played snare in the fall. In the winter, drumline. I played 4-mallet marimba.
Ooh.
Super into that. I like won a state competition in that in high school. I was actually thinking of doing marimba, like percussion as a career.
Ooh. So with all the instrument switching that goes on mostly between Corey and Sonny when you guys are playing, how come you never break out the marimba on stage?
We've talked about it for many years. What's funny is that Corey and I have known each other since 2005. We started playing together. First, when we first day of college, we started playing together.
Nice.
We both were going to college at the exact same time. He's like a couple years older, but
Where did you guys go?
A place called McNally Smith College of Music, which is in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it's not there anymore. Actually, it closed down 4 years ago. And I was actually teaching there at the time. So that was. But it kind of coincidentally closed down right as Corey started ramping up all the touring. So I was going to be gone most of the semester anyways. But Corey also did drumline, and we had both when we met, we had both been instructing our high school drum lines, and we're competing against each other because he went to like a different school on the other side of the cities. He grew up in Fridley, and I was in Burnsville, which are like suburbs on the other side of the cities from each other, and where we competed against each other, and it was kind of funny. So I got into the drums. I'll back up here. Grew up playing drums, drum set. Had my two older brothers would play like bass and guitar. We had like a family band playing like Incubus, Blink 182, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Third Eye Blind, like all the 90s music. Would have a bunch of friends come over. I'd always be on drum set basically, and we'd play Rage Against the Machine and like Metallica, like
Wow.
all that kind of stuff. I guess Dave Matthews Band. I didn't really get into anything cool. Well, that's all cool, but like
I mean
anything,
that's cool,
it is cool.
but
I mean, it's
family
like
bands are cool. As
it
somebody
is.
who plays with his family all the time, like we're a
Yeah.
Fish cover band, but
Oh, nice. All
yeah,
right. Yeah, that would have been fun to do. Nothing, I guess, nothing challenging in the sense of like on the I don't know. It's just like stuff that you listen to as a kid, you know.
yeah,
Whatever is on. I nothing. We didn't get into any of the old stuff. It was just kind of like what was on the radio then. And so we grew up playing all that stuff. My parents didn't have any insight on the music scene. My dad played a little bit of guitar, but I didn't like have a very solid connection into the music scene. So I didn't grow up with that, or I didn't know a lot of professional musicians, or maybe any growing up, except for my drum instructor, and then my piano instructor, which I switched piano instructors when I was in like sixth grade to like a guy who taught jazz and started learning
oh,
that stuff. So that was kind of where I started to work on chord theory and all that stuff when I
hmm
was six, and I kind of took it seriously, sort of. And then in 12th grade, I started like a jazz trio with some friends, and started improvising and in a jazz sense, and then kind of was like, I think I want to do. Well, I always knew I wanted to do music. I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
right,
And it was so I was kind of like, I think I want to be a keyboardist. It makes more sense to be a piano player, keyboardist, whatever. Didn't really know anything about synths or organ or any of that stuff until actually at college. So I didn't. Yeah, I think to me it's kind of like it took me a while to really learn about a lot of this stuff, which I think if the internet was what it was today, I probably would have known about this all growing up, like all the different synthesizers, organ playing, like all that stuff. But I didn't really have a clue until college, when I started getting into all the jazz fusion, synthesized, Weather Report, Return to
Herbie
Forever,
Hancock,
Herbie,
yeah.
yeah, exactly, all that stuff, Rhodes, and that was
But
kind of where I
when
started.
when was the first time you got to play like a real like vintage keyboard, like a Rhodes or an
Ooh,
organ?
yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I can't remember the moment. I can remember when I first learned about it, and I was all watching Weather Report live in
Yeah,
Montreux, like 1976 or something, and getting all into Herbie Hancock, Thrust, Headhunters, Flood, and I don't remember. I do remember being on a gig, an Aretha Franklin tribute show at this bar in Minneapolis, where there was an organ there,
hmm
and I was the keyboardist of the gig, and I was playing piano, and I didn't touch the organ. It was sitting right next to me, like adjacent, because it was just a house organ, just set
right.
up. I didn't know how to play it. Saxophone player comes over halfway through the gig, and it's just like, "What are you doing?" And
Yeah, like it's here.
starts playing the organ, starts ripping the B3. And this guy is actually the saxophone player for Michael Bolton. Actually, it's like a local, one of the guys who's in this local family, who's a predominant family in the R&B and jazz scene here. And I was just like a kid, and I was just like, "Oh crap! I got to learn how to play organ. I should do this. Yeah, I should touch it." So that was kind of like a kick. Like I need to start learning how to play keyboards. Kind of thinking about it as a job, and then developing the love for it as I went on. Um, yeah, just didn't grow up playing in church. Didn't know anything about any of that stuff. So I guess
Right.
it was like 18, 19 when I really started getting into that stuff, and then I just started buying the keyboards, because I figured you can't play Rhodes, Whirly, any of the vintage stuff in stores. So I'm just looking at Craigslist nonstop, looking for boards, and I want to live with it. I want to have it in my hands and live with it for a while, and then develop an opinion on it. And that's where it's like, okay, I just need to start buying keyboards,
Yeah.
saving up. And a lot of my keyboards I have that I first played, I think, is when I bought them. Honestly, it was just I didn't. Yeah, Or
That's very
probably in a
exciting.
studio. I probably played some of that stuff maybe beforehand. But
Hmm.
yeah, I got to think of that one. That's a good. That's a good
Yeah.
question.
So you mentioned, around that age, first day of college, you met Cory,
Hmm.
after you guys had, done competing drum lines. But did you guys immediately click musically?
Yes.
Was it just like a random jam, or how did
Yeah,
that come
yeah.
together?
So how it works is we both started school, and they pair you up with in ensembles with people that they think are at your same skill level, or like the people that would get along. So we were both paired up in some kind of like jazz ensemble, I think. And he was a guitar player, I was a keyboard player, and we were both like, yeah, man, blue bossa, and like all like we were both trying to be jazz players,
Right.
and at the time, and he was super into Pat Metheny. I think I was super into Chick Corea at the time, and we just that was it. We started playing together, and then it was just he's one of the guys that at music school or whatever, you quickly realize who you want to play with. And then we started playing together, writing together. Um, we landed this gig at a local jazz club in St. Paul, opening up for free, opening up for this jazz organ trio, which are some of the heavy hitters in town. They played
Right.
every Tuesday. It was like a Tuesday night institution in Minneapolis, Tuesday night organ night at this basement jazz club. It's a really cool vibe. And and I think at the time you could used to could smoke down there. And we started playing for 2 hours before they went on for free. And it
Just
would
the two of you?
me, Cory, and then two other guys. It'd be like a quartet. And it was the Cory Wong Quartet is what was built on, because Cory got picked up the gig.
Hmm.
And yeah, we play Cory's originals, my originals, just random stuff, and then whoever else was on the band, and then whatever else we wanted to play. And we did that for 6 years.
Wow.
So which is kind of crazy, but we just wanted to play. And it was a grand piano down there, like
Right.
kind of like a club with some stature. We're super young, just trying to get our feet wet. But we just love to play, and we held that gig for 6 years, just free. Like
Nice.
kids
Yeah.
did it for free. Like
Building the
I don't.
chops.
Yeah, exactly. We just like to do it. So, and it was fun. We'd have tens of people down there. It was
Solid.
or not. We played
Right.
for a
But
lot of.
yeah, but you were there to for the experience to, like, play music,
Yeah, play
right?
music.
Like,
It was a Tuesday 7 to 9. Like, what else you do on a Tuesday 7 to 9? It's like let's play music with my friends, and Pitar started playing with us too because he moved in 2009. So I think that gig probably started in maybe 2006 or seven maybe. No, yeah, somewhere around there it started. And Pitar
mhm.
moved to town in 2009, I think, and then he started kind of playing with us too
Yeah.
down there as well.
Pitar, for anyone who doesn't know, Pitar is the drummer in the Cory Wong band.
Yes, and then we would go out and watch. We go down to Bunkers, which is a club in Minneapolis that we've all played a ton at over the years, and watch Sonny T play. And some of the guys in the Tuesday night band that I'm talking about, the Oregon group, were actually the guitar player and the keyboard player at the time of that band that played every Sunday and Monday at Bunkers.
Hmm.
And we'd go watch these guys play, and it was like Sonny and Michael Bland, like all these heavy hitters from Minneapolis. And but they were playing all R&B funk covers
Hmm.
every Monday and Tuesday night. And it's like we play the artist corner on Tuesdays, and we'd go down and watch the guys play on Sundays and Mondays. um and that was like kind of the Minneapolis upbringing, really.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I know, and you guys started getting involved with Bunkers at one point too, right? That's Dr.
Yeah,
Mambo's
Dr.
combo, if
Mama's
I
combo.
remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was well, yeah. Pitar became Michael Bland. If you don't know who Michael Bland is, he is incredible. He was a Prince's drummer for a very long time, and he's actually featured on the Wolfpack tune "Hero Town."
Great
Um,
song.
yeah, but he's a incredible producer. Played with everybody, and as long with Sonny too. Like him and Sonny been they played um, just just a rhythm section. Those guys have played with so many different people together. But Pitar started subbing for him at the combo, we call it. And he was basically Michael's understudy for a long time. Michael kind of really groomed Pitar early on, and then I became the keyboardist of that band for the last 6 years until recently. And then Cory would sub every once in a while, and that's actually where he met Wolfpack. Actually, Wolfpack came in to watch that band, and Cory was subbing that night, and that's how they ended up meeting. That's how it started everything, actually, which is like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something, 6, 8, 7.
More than that, I think.
Yes, it was a while ago. So he knew those guys kind of before everything took off. But yeah, this is like the kind of the institution in Minneapolis is that club, and every Sunday, Monday, you'd have famous people that are in town would come down and sit in. Prince used to be there, sitting in the corner, like randomly. He would show up, and sometimes he'd play. Sometimes his band would play, and it was crazy.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
That's awesome. So when was the first time you guys toured under the moniker Cory Wong? What was that like?
Yeah, I think that was probably 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And this is funny. We Mr. Talkbox. He's the guy who does the beginning of 24 Karat Magic, the Bruno Mars song, the intro on a Talkbox.
Yeah,
he's like the Talkbox intro guy. That's Mr. Talkbox. He's a great performer. Talkbox. He's like one of the best Talkbox guys in the world. And super cool. Anyways, Cory, I don't know how they ended up meeting, but we basically got on a tour with Mr. Talkbox. This is kind of shortly after that song blew up. And so Mr. Talkbox invited us on his tour. I think is how it worked. I'm trying to remember. He got a bus, and we were sharing a bus with them. So it was like his band and our band together. We did an East Coast tour from, I think, maybe Atlanta, like kind of going up and down the East Coast. And that was playing for rooms like 200 to 500 size venues. And I was running, so it was a 4-piece, me, Pitar, Kevin McIntyre, who used to be the kind of the main bass player, he, and me and Cory. So 4-piece. I had been running Cory's computer Final Cut Pro into a screen. I think we did that. I think we did this tour, and projected Antoine Stanley on the screen, and played a line of tracks of him singing while we played along with him.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. It was pretty funny, actually.
I remember seeing the laptop like next to you, like in some videos, and being like, I wonder what that's for. And then it like you like saw the screen at one point, and I was like, oh, like he's there's nobody off stage controlling what shows up on the projection screen.
Yeah.
Like it's Kevin.
yeah. That was my job. So it was crazy. Running Final Cut Pro with audio, splitting to the house, and then the HDMI or whatever to the screen that we'd have set up, and we would project different things on the screen. Sometimes Antoine Stanley, sometimes other things. Kind of almost like in a comedy bit. Like we would have random things flash on the screen.
Right.
And we did that. I think it was just something extra. We had a 4-piece. We project like the horns up there, and we play along. So it was all tracks. So I was running the tracks, and Pitar would have a click in his ear.
Right.
And we did that. Then that tour we did Mr. Talkbox. Then we were breaking off to do Dublin, London, Berlin, I think it was. So we get to the airport. Pitar is the whole tour is saying that he doesn't think he's going to be able to get into the UK. All right, and he's freaking out. Cory's like, I talked to a guy. They said it's fine.
Pitar is Serbian.
Oh yes, sorry,
yeah.
Pitar is Serbian. He does not have a U.S. passport. He thinks he cannot get into the UK. Cory's like, no, I talked to a guy. He says everything's fine. We get to the airport. Pitar can't go. All right. He can go to Germany.
Okay.
He can't go to the UK though. So we had a show in 2 days. We fly to Dublin.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Corey's basically looking at like hitting up everyone in London and the UK that he knows. I think he called actually. I think it was the guitarist from Jamiroquai that he. I think maybe it was
But
Rob.
that's connections. Those
Yeah,
are
I
connections right
think it
there.
was him. I think he's the one that recommended. I think it's Rob. Um, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, we got this guy um, who just showed up and just learned the book. Showed up. We did, I think, 2 shows in Dublin, and then went over to London, played a show, and a guy filled in. So, anyways, Corey Patar flew to Switzerland, which is where his girlfriend at the time lived. So he just went there, waited for us to get done with the tour, and it went fine. Actually, the guy
Yeah.
did a great job. Samson Giotto, I think is how you say his last name. Awesome drummer. But yeah, he just panicked last minute, hired a drummer on the spot, and we did that with him. Went to Berlin, and then we did a show and we recorded with this guy named Marty Fisher, who's actually a guy who's on a lot of different Corey tracks. He's the guy who wrote Cameron, which is a Corey song, or Corey wrote or whatever, and he's we recorded a record for him. So we kind of did played a few shows and then recorded a record in this German studio where it was just like these engineers are just chain smoking, and it's like it was just we played foosball on the breaks and stuff. It was a pretty fun time actually.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first tour. It was learning about what country Patar can go into and what he can't. That was a tough one. Since then, we've had different drummers in the UK, and then Patar has done a little bit of the stuff in the UK. I think now he's good, but we've had Jordan Rose, who's a drummer for Theo Katzman, play with us over in the UK, and we've had other drummers at times. We've had a guy named Armando Lopez, who's great drummer from Miami. But it's a learning curve, So
Yeah.
but
For sure.
that was also Corey was tour managing everything himself.
Yeah.
He had run. He was doing everything. So since then, he's got a lot of different people helping.
There's
out.
a crew now.
There's a crew now. But that was pretty wild. It was fun though.
And you guys really the Cory Wong really started to, at least touring wise, started to take off in like early 2019, I want to say, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say take off. I'm not sure. I think we started maybe 2017, and then ever since then it's been, every time we come back, we were playing a bigger club, and it's just been kind of a slow build or fast build, I guess. Just always upward. Pandemic obviously stopped some of that, but since we've been back and we've toured almost 1.5 tour cycles, and it's better than ever. It's going great. It's going great. But we started like 200. We played Dublin. I think we played Dublin probably 5 times now, and we've started at we started playing in this basement, like a 150 cap room with no stage, everyone like circling around us. It was super cool. Actually, it was really fun. I love that intimate setting of that kind of thing. But we've just every year we go back, and maybe sometimes more than once a year, and it's just growing every single time. So
that's awesome.
And it's funny because when we first started touring, we were touring in Europe right away. Just Corey through the internet. So
well, and this kind of music is very there's a big European audience for like instrumental music like this. You guys, Wolfpack, Snarky Puppy, there's always a huge audience for that. And I feel like in even some cases you might be playing bigger venues there than you do in the States.
The trend has been we're like 1 year ahead in Europe versus the United States in crowd size or venue size. And that was, I think, right off the bat, we were kind of touring in America and Europe at the same time. And somehow they're just a little bit ahead. So we've been playing both markets the entire time, and playing them equally, pretty much on an equal amount. So it's been really interesting.
hmm So one thing, you mentioned having different drummers and different bass players and, people
Hmm.
rotating through. And obviously, you were touring without a horn section at first, and then you had
Yep.
a horn section,
Yep.
and then a different horn section, and then a
Yep.
bigger horn section.
Yes.
So
That's
how do you adapt, and do you have to adapt like the arrangements of songs, how you play based on who is on the gig?
yes. To a great degree, actually. I could start with originally with a four piece. There's four people playing. There's a lot of room, a lot of room for me.
Hmm
Um, Often I am not taking the melody. I am often kind of support. Like I feel like a lot of my role is helping energy go, pushing energy around, having it peak at the right moment,
Yeah.
helping the overall, yeah, pushing energy around and kind of responding. We often call my role as a floater, where I'm kind of at times I'm improvising, but I'm comping. I'm improvising, kind of responding to everyone else, where other people are locked into parts.
hmm
As a four piece, I have plenty of room, so I'm very active. The more players you add, the less active I can be. Um, I you add three horns, my role, my voice in it kind of starts to diminish a little bit. You had five horns, and it's like they're taking all the melodies and they're
Right.
playing a lot of stuff. I have to pivot, and often, if I'm not locked into a part, I'm playing pads. I'm playing organ or something. I've played a lot more pads on organ or synths and stuff the bigger the band has gotten,
hmm
because there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of rhythmic information, um, and it's just so much is covered. And the horn arranger Michael Nelson, who is one of the best in the world and very ambitious with his horn writing, where he's doing stuff that's almost impossible to play live, technicality wise and rhythmically, where it's so dense. So I have to adjust my role a little bit to simplify, and I definitely have to respond to the arrangement. When you talk about bass players too, Sonny Thompson plays a lot.
hmm
Um, he's all over the place. When I'm playing with Sonny, I have to adjust a little bit, and this is something that Pitar, the drummer, and Sonny Thompson, the bass player, we've played um, years and years and years. Like at one point, we were playing in Minneapolis 3 times a week for at least a few years with the Bunkers thing, and then with another guy in town at Bunkers actually on a Wednesday. We were playing Sunday,
hmm
Monday, and Wednesday at Bunkers for
Nice.
years together, just us three. So he knows we know each other's playing, and it's like when Sonny's playing, I have to back off a little bit. When we have a guy like Johannes, who is another bass player with us, he played on the Dave Koz record with us, and
hmm
he's one of our OG guys in Minneapolis. He plays with a guy named Stokely right now, who's a pretty famous R&B singer, band called Mint Condition, and he leaves more space, and I get to step out more. It's like I my role very much changes on the players in the band, basically because I don't have as many locked in parts.
Right.
It's like certain songs I'm like, this is what I'm playing, this is my part, but some of these songs I'm just kind of floating, kind of improvising, and that definitely changes. I'm responding to the band, and that's yeah,
hmm
and that's my job, I guess.
So, what is currently your favorite Cory Wong song to play?
Ooh, uh, Radio Shack.
That's a great one.
Radio
Yeah.
Shack. It's just like this high energy song is just to the nuts. We just play it through. It works every time.
Yeah.
There's no improv or anything in it. It's just blazing straight through, like a short, I don't know, 3 minute tune maybe,
hmm
and it's just super fun to play. I think all
Yeah.
the melodies are great. Like everything on it is just super fun to play. And then we get real into it when we play it live. We just started playing this, so maybe it's because we haven't played it all that much.
Yeah. Some of the Wong's Cafe tunes, I think that those are just making their way into the rotation, right?
Yep. We just added Radio Shack, Let's Go,
Disco Daloon.
Yeah, we've done a little. We've played that a few times now.
I saw you guys put out a video recently, like sound checking that tune,
Yeah,
which was cool to see. I love when Cory puts out those videos, and you get to see the behind the scenes work, which is
yeah,
very cool.
yeah. So that's one we've been working on and adjusting horn parts and just trying to figure out how to do it as this band,
Right.
with the horns and all that stuff. So
Right.
we'll probably play it more. We'll see next tour. So I think we kind of got a good arrangement of it now. So I love that tune actually a lot.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this a lot, in our messagings on social media, but I'm everyone who knows me knows that I am a huge keyboard nerd for like anything keyboard related, and I've been very interested watching your rig change, even though there haven't been a ton of changes.
Yeah.
Just the differences in the changes and how you approach it. So take me through what you've had in your rig with Cory, and where you want to go in the future.
Yes. Okay. So originally I was just using a Nord Electro 5D because it was very small and we needed to travel. A lot of my rig has been defined by travel. So what I can take on a plane. I had to kind of abandon the idea that I'm having for a lot of years that I'm going to have what I want and adjust to something. Just make some compromises, It's just like, no, man, I really want to bring my Wurlitzer, or my Rhodes or anything. As time has gone on, well, I guess let's go. I had the Electro, realized, I don't have any expression. I don't have an expression wheel. I don't have a pitch a wheel or mod wheel or a pitch stick or any of that kind of stuff. That was the big thing where I was like, okay, I need a stage.
I don't have those on either of my keyboards, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, like just put it on, but they do it on purpose. The Electro is more the vintage keyboards. I want to get into some synths too if I'm just bringing this one board. And so I had to get a stage, which has actually been great. I got a stage 3 compact, which is light. With my case, is 48 pounds, and it was like 50 pounds was the limit before we ended up getting like status or whatever. And so that was a big part of it. I ended up getting an OB6, Dave Smith OB6 synth, which is great synth, super cool, kind of digs into some of those 80s Oberheim tones, which is what the OB stands for, which is like Prince, all the 80s stuff. Minneapolis is like a huge, that 80s sound, so I got an OB6 to mix with Cory stuff. I figured it'd be a good mix. So I was doing a Nord with the OB6 for a while. And since then I've on our US tours, I bring my own organ, and Leslie, and just put the Nord on top. I've ditched the synth. I've just done all Nord synths for a while live. So I'll do the organ and the Nord. And for the last few years, we have rented an organ basically every gig that we fly out to. So when I'm in Europe, I'll get an organ and and a Nord, and I'll load my sounds onto like whatever Nord if I'm not bringing my own. So it's been for some years now. It's just like Nord and organ.
Right. And when you get those backline organs, I know they're like, different models that different places will have, and things will have different modifications to it. Like what's the coolest, or what are some of the coolest like weird modifications that you've encountered?
I guess not too many weird ones, but they all just have their own personality. So I'm dealing with a different instrument, and it could be, I mean, a very wide range of good sounding organs and bad sounding ones. I always like them when they got the reverb dial. That's like a reverb. Some of them have like a gain boost or an EQ on it. Those are some of the cool mods that are on there. Otherwise,
any of the pitch bend organs?
No, that'd be insane though. But there's a trick where you can like turn off the organ and turn it back on real quick, and then the whole if you turn it off and turn it on quick enough, it won't die. go and it will pitch down and then pitch back up. That's kind of a fun mod. But if you have it turn it off for like long enough, depending on the organ, for like 2 seconds, it won't turn back on. Even if you flip it on, you have to restart the whole thing. So there's a risk in that.
Some organs don't do that. It's an element of fun.
Oh yes. So it's really fun to do it, like say your last chord of the night, just in case you mess it up.
Right. Exactly. Worst case, the chord just fades.
Exactly. or it fades in a cool way.
Yes, exactly.
Go all the way down. That's fun. But sometimes, like I think we did a, sometimes I'll get like 2 Leslies. I think we did this gig in Serbia, in Petar's hometown, or close to his hometown, and I think that was the night I had 2 Leslies, and it was so. Sometimes I'll get, I'll have some choice of some gear, and I'll have, they have a synth here, or they got a Whirly or a Rhodes or something, so I'll adjust, especially on tour, or especially overseas, where it's like I'll use whatever. I'm super down with playing on whatever board. I'll play this gig. If they give me a Whirly, I'll just play on that. If they give me some whack keyboard, I'm super into it.
Right. So, and if they have like something like a Whirly or an organ, like something more vintage that is there, I assume you will end up using that more in the gig than if it was just like the Whirly patch on the Nord.
Exactly. I'm going to play on what sounds the best.
Right.
And that's with any keyboard, like I'll try to find the strength of the keyboard. Oh, this organ doesn't sound that. Oh, this happened to me the other day. I'm getting my organ fixed. I have 2 organs. My main organ is stuck in Nashville right now, waiting to go on the next tour when we start touring out.
Yeah.
I got to fix up my organ front that's home. It's not quite working the way I want it to. I took it to a guy, and it's not quite there yet. But I played a gig in town. I did this Tom Petty tribute show. That was fun, and but the organ's not sounding. The volume is just all kind of messed up. So I played it a little bit, but I played on the piano most of the gig. So I'm adjusting for how good it sounds, and I will do that on any gig. I'm using my ears. I'm not just going to be. I'm seeing how it sounds. I'm going to respond. I'm going to change how I play. And luckily, a lot of this music can work a lot of different ways. I'm trying to get the if I'm playing a melody, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the melody on whatever instrument I got that sounds good. So just adjust.
That's awesome. And is there anything that you're planning for in the near future to add or change to your touring rig?
Well, I'm hoping. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. Last tour I ran, I brought a twin reverb, 1970s. And I was running, so I have my Nord. You can do multiple outputs on the Nord. So I have my piano and all my synths running through the left, right, like the main ones. I had my Rhodes Whirly clav running through into my twin.
Got it.
So I've done that on tours where I'll bring separate amps for different patches. Like I've done a Blues Junior in the past.
I saw it in that recent behind the scenes video where like the amp blew out or something, and you had to borrow one of Cory's.
Yes, yeah. So the twin reverb didn't last that long, and I started using one of Cory's amps, and it worked great. But it's nice to have that amp feel. So I'm trying to just get some of that real amp sound. I would like to add, I think maybe next tour or the tour after that, I want to add a Wurlitzer, maybe a clav, So we just got to put them on the bus, or just got to bring them. I just got to bring them because I have it.
Sleep with it in your bed on the bus, like anything to bring it with you.
Exactly. So it's just it's a lot of inputs, and we just got to.
Right.
We're bringing our own sound, and it'll if we can fit it, I'll be adding that. But the idea would be to have 4 keyboards up there. Ideally, a Wurlitzer and a clav, or like maybe a Whirly and a synth, maybe like a Prophet or something, or a clav and a synth, or a CP80 or something. Like something something cool, something vintage, something that looks
CP
cool.
would be very cool.
So that could be fun. It's just they're just heavy.
Right.
I got one like I got one right behind me actually. I got a
A
CP80.
CB?
CP80.
Oh, nice.
It's like the big one though. It's like
Like with the
it's
yeah.
big.
That's tougher to fit in the trailer.
Exactly. But that would be awesome to bring. Like just something like that would be really fun to add. I got the
Yeah.
organ. That's cool. But yeah, like a Wurlitzer or a Rhodes.
Hmm.
Something else running through an amp. Just get that tone, and then I would lean on it more. I would play it more. So
Right.
that's the thing. I don't. Yeah, I play on what
It's more
what sounds
fun to
good.
play a real Wurlitzer than it is to play a Wurlitzer
It,
patch on a Nord.
it
For
is
sure.
whether or not even if it sounds identical.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't, but like
The feel.
they get really close. Yeah, the feel. I'm gonna respond to the instrument, how it sounds to me, how it feels to me. So I'm gonna play it differently. I'll play it better if it feels better.
Right.
And I'll want to play it more.
Got it. So, obviously you guys play the songs live differently than you do in the studio.
Yes.
And obviously over time, the song structures are going to evolve and change as you guys, maybe want to take lengthier solos or do different things with it. But since the pandemic, really, you guys have gotten way jammier on stage. Like I feel like there's been a lot more like 15-minute songs than there were before, I think. What has brought that on, and how do you guys approach changing the structures of the songs?
Yeah. I think we've been playing. I don't know. I think we just play long enough together, and we just want something different at times. We get more comfortable, or Cory has gotten more comfortable letting that happen live. Maybe through playing the tune 100 times, and it's like, okay, let's do something different, or let's get that live thing. I've always been kind of pushing for spontaneity on the spot, and maybe other people have too, and it just ends up happening over the years. Or someone, maybe we're playing longer shows, so there's more room for that. Earlier on, I think we were doing shorter shows. We're not doing, there's more room for that. Longer the show is, the more we can feel like we can let loose on some of them. But I don't know. I think it's just we just kind of we're comfortable as a unit, and we know, like, all these times that we jam or whatever, we've got a solid endpoint. We know how we're going to get out.
Right.
Well, most of the time, we know how we're going to get
most
out.
of the time.
Yeah, sometimes I think it was like after the pandemic, we'd get to the end of a song or something, and Cory would just start playing something, and then him and I would do a thing, and we go for a while. Then maybe the other band members would come in and into like some random other groove. We've just, I don't know. I don't know why, but it's happened more, and I think you get a taste of it, and it's like, oh, we can do this. Just getting comfortable with it. I think Cory didn't come up on that kind of. He didn't do a lot of jam stuff really beforehand, so it was a little more unfamiliar to him, and I think he was a little more nervous about that than I was, or maybe some other of the members in the band. And I think as we've kind of gotten more into it, he's realized that the scene appreciates that kind of thing. Yes. And if you want anybody that's going to come to more than one show, which at times we are now starting to do like 2 nights at that one place, which is awesome, and we'll play completely different sets, and people want to see that thing. If you want that crowd, I think he was more in the pop sense of thing, where you kind of play the same show every night, or kind of. He got away from that pretty quick, but that was kind of. I think he came from that world a little bit. So it took a while for that to happen, but it's happened, and I wouldn't say we jam nearly as much as a lot of other bands, but we do a little bit of it, and it's been fun.
No, there's definitely a lot of crossover between the jam band community and like the funk community, like what you guys are doing. I think more so jam band leaning towards the funk than the straight funk people going to see Fish or whoever. But yeah, like people who will go and see you guys and travel to see you 4 nights in a row, and so it's like, well, we want to do something different.
Right.
What's cool to me, my favorite kind of post-pandemic rework, if you will, has been what you guys have done with meditation.
Oh yeah.
Like, when I fell in love with that song immediately when it came out at the beginning of 2020, and then I saw it live. The only time I've seen you guys so far,
Yep.
Which was awesome. And then when I first heard, you guys posted a video of it in the spring, and I first heard this newer version of it where same intro, but you've now got the B3 going. You're like just laying down the textures during Cory's solo, and then you get a super extended outro thing going. Like, it's just that is phenomenal to me, and I love the way that it gets stressed out.
It's been a really fun one. That's been a moment where Cory will play the intro. He's got a couple ways he kind of ones that he will tend to go to, but he'll take that intro and kind of do whatever he wants. So he'll improvise the intro straight up, and then we'll do the whole song, and then I'll go on a outro tangent for a while, trying to play with the melody. But I'm kind of like stubborn, where I'm trying to improvise like every night, try to keep it different, keep it fresh, keep myself interested, and hopefully not to a fault, but it's we'll do stuff like that where he'll give me some room to stretch, and
on songs like Lee or Smooth Move, like stuff like that, where it's just very easy groove for you guys to sit in. Like your synth solos on Lee are some of my favorite
thanks
stuff.
That's
like
thing.
And all the videos, you just have like this like shit-eating grin on your face while you're like playing with the knobs and stuff.
It's those one chord jams that are just the most fun to play over. There's no changes. It's just maybe all the information is maybe a fifth, like or a one note bass by just one note. So it's just like, okay, well then the harmony is completely up in the air, and I can do whatever I want. Everyone knows no one's adding that much extra harmony, so that they know I'll do whatever I want to. And that's what's super fun too, because I'll take a solo, and then maybe Eddie Barbash will take one, or Cory will, and they'll do something completely different with it. And I love all the one chord or one note jams, and that's just so
do you guys decide before the set who's going to take the solos on songs like Lee, or is that just on the fly?
Nope, we it used to be somewhat on the fly, but we've gotten really pro with our set list making, where we got like we'll have set lists printed out before the show. Like our tour manager will print them, and they'll have solos listed, often for the lighting guy and for the sound person, and then also if when we give the fans will end up with a set list, so we'll try to make it look pro. And so we'll often that stuff is listed now. Cory will decide, or sometimes we'll pivot in the middle of the song, but it's kind of deciding, and we're trying to distribute the solos throughout
evenly.
The night. To some extent. So
very cool.
That's a fun one.
So we've been talking so much about you playing with Cory, but you also have a lot of your own stuff going on. And including an album that I mentioned at the beginning, including an album that just recently came out. So tell me about Kevin Gastonguay stuff.
Yes. So I released a new record 2 weeks ago, or almost 2 weeks ago, called Last Place Dreamer. And it's a instrumental record. So featuring, like I think it said in the bio, like a lot of vintage elements. It's kind of like a lot of theme, TV theme, movie theme. Has a lot of those kind of elements. Kind of not a ton of improvising in it, but it's instrumental tunes with very, I think, fun melodies. Draws a lot of inspiration from Henry Mancini, Brian, what's the name? Brian Wilson, Beach Boys, Charlie Hunter. I would put has been a huge influence of me, of my instrumental writing.
He's fantastic.
And it's Larry Golding's, and basically like it's just kind of fun instrumental music that's kind of quirky, but I use a lot of Rhodes, Wurlitzer, a lot of compact organs actually on this record. A lot of Farfisa and Vox. I have a Jaguar, and so those '60s kind of Doors-ish sounds, animals. I love that stuff, and I take a lot of melodies on the record with those keyboards through like a wah pedal. So I use a lot of that. I got organ, a lot of piano, like just a whole array of keyboards that I use on the whole record. Also, I started arranging for strings and horns.
Ooh.
So I got a string quartet on 4 of the tunes and horns on 2 of the tunes, and then the rest of it is more of like a rhythm section, keyboards, bass drums, guitar. Got a pedal steel player and a harmonica player on one of the tunes too. So and then Kenny Holman, the title or the first track of the record, takes flute. Who's Kenny Holman's the sax player, one of the sax players of the band. He's also in the Fearless Flyers Delta Force.
Yeah, I was going to say there are many sax players in the band.
Yeah, and he's also like one of Prince's guys for a long time. He was toured with Prince along with the other horn players, and so OG cat, but he plays a nasty flute solo and bass clarinet on it. So it's got a pretty wide range of instruments, and yeah, it's fun. It's groovy, and it gets kind of all over the place. Yeah, definitely some kind of Beatles elements in there too. It's not super jazzy, but it's definitely chordally, I think, interesting, and interesting melodies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely go check that out. I need to do a full album listen. I've heard a couple of the songs, and I've really enjoyed them.
Thank you.
They sound awesome. So go check out Last Place Dreamer.
Yes.
Wherever you get your music.
It's everywhere. All the places.
There you go. So what kind of a last thing. Your favorite venue to see music and your favorite venue to play music.
Yes. Red Rocks is, kind of an obvious, I would think. But that's
for both.
For both, yeah. Yeah, we've played Red Rocks twice. Those were some of the best shows, coolest shows I've ever played. And to see, I mean, I've seen it there just from, we play there, we open for String Cheese Incident. And then we also did one opening for Blues Traveler recently. So, you can go out and watch them. So I kind of get a little both worlds. Red Rocks, super fun. We played this show in southern France this past summer, and we played this giant like Colosseum in it was a Roman like amphitheater kind of thing.
Whoa. And
it was like Red Rocks, bigger, and we opened for George Benson, and it was insane. Like Jazz in Vienne, I think it is in Vienne, France, and it was just nuts. That place is super cool. But I think I said earlier, like I really like small intimate venues. Like I love venues under 1,000 people, or even, clubs, 200, 100.
Right.
Like I just love the intimacy of that stuff so much, so it's like, I like the big crowds. This is super thrilling. But it's different energy, sometimes the crowds feel really far apart and it's hard to connect or hard to feel like they're in with you if they're too far away, or it's kind of a wash, and so yeah, some smaller venues, but Red Rocks, super fun. We played the Hollywood Bowl this summer. That was incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah,
you getting everywhere. Everywhere. And you're back out. You're back out on the road in mid-February, I believe, on the next leg of the U.S. tour. And you guys have European dates booked for next fall. You're going everywhere. I assume there's more to be added for next year, which
bunch more already pending that is not announced yet, but it's going to be real fun. We got Victor coming out with us.
So does that mean no Sonny on the tour?
No, Sonny will be playing. He'll be switching to guitar. So Sonny, I think how it's going to go is we're going to play one set as just us, and then the second set, Vic will come out and play maybe the whole second set with us, playing I think a lot of our tunes, but also some of his tunes, maybe some Flecktones. We want to play some Flecktones, so we'll see what
Right.
happens. But and then Sunny will switch a guitar on the second set.
Oh,
So
and oh my God, and, that reminds me, and I totally forgot to ask about it earlier, but you guys have
yeah,
started doing this tiny instruments shtick.
yeah,
How did that come about? And because I love it, it's hilarious, and it's a really cool thing to do on
yeah,
stage.
yeah. So it was just kind of I don't know. Corey came up with it, and the whole idea is that so we have Sierra Hull on the road with us this past tour, who's
Hmm.
an incredible mandolin player and singer and songwriter, and she, mandolin is a small instrument, and then we had this idea of playing instruments smaller than the mandolin. So it was halfway through the show, we just go up to the front of the stage. I'm playing a melodica. We have Jay Webb, trumpet player, plays this tiny trumpet, it's called a pocket trumpet,
Hmm.
and Kenny plays a piccolo flute, and Corey Sonny's playing this, like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's one of these small basses with like rubber strings. This the U bass, I think it's called.
Yeah,
And we got always like a miniature guitars playing on this tiny like
like a
toddler
toy
drum.
drum kit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
toy drum
it's
kit.
hilarious.
It's super funny. And yeah, it's just kind of a bit. We'll play songs acoustically. They're kind of more of an acoustic
Hey, you've
fashion.
been covering Dave Matthews, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So what's fun? Actually, we did a VIP show the whole last tour, and it would be basically a kind of a meet and greet slash show kind of hang between me, Corey, Sonny, and Pitar,
Hmm.
and we'd be doing the tiny instruments, a tiny instruments show with where we play a couple tunes that whatever we try to play them. Um, our tunes on those instruments, and we'd also take requests.
Right.
So we would be playing, yeah, Dave. We get requests for like Toto. We would just like ever like any request, any song, because chances are,
Do you get the Freebird request?
yeah, we'll get, yeah, and we'll shame him. He'll get booed, because it's a small group. It's like maybe 10 people to like 30 or 40.
Right.
So it's like a small little show, and that's really fun. We all everyone in the band has jobbed as a musician for a super long time, so everyone knows just a million songs. So we're just trying to play what we'll take requests and just try to pull it off. Like chances are we know it.
Yeah.
If it's not super obscure.
Well,
So that's
that's
been
awesome.
so we've had to practice with the mini instruments thing with that, and then brought it to the show, and yeah, we recorded. We had our video guy, who does a lot of that video editing, Michael Bowden. He was with us this whole last tour, so he was filming most shows. So we'll be releasing some of those
Ooh.
sets sometime soon.
There's been some stuff. There was a video from Stubbs that was out this
Oh,
morning. So
nice. Okay, nice. Stubbs was fun because it was extremely
freezing.
cold. Yeah, yeah. So we all wore like these jumpsuits, and we had heaters on stage, and we thought it was going to be just terrible, but it actually turned out to be an awesome show, especially the first set. And it was like, I hope he releases that stuff. I
Hmm.
hope it turns out good, and because that was just it was a cool vibe. Yeah, we're in Austin, Texas, and it's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah. Exactly. It's not supposed to be this cold in
So
Texas.
it was our last show of the tour, and then we went to Mexico City to play a festival, and then came home. So it was like our last show of the actual tour, and then we went to Mexico where it was warm. So that was pretty
Hmm.
nice
That's
for
nice.
24 hours basically.
Yeah, but
But it was
got back
fun.
to the warmth before
Yeah,
coming back up
and
here.
now
You're similar north-ish
we
time.
got like 5 inches last night of snow.
Okay, I think Minneapolis might be further north than Toronto.
Oh, I think it
I
is
think it
just
is.
just a little bit because you guys dip.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, similar, but we got
it's
we got
winter.
our
It's
it's
cold.
winter
It
now.
sucks.
Like we, shoveled last night a bunch. Here we go, and it looks like it's probably going to stay. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
snowing.
You got see. You toured the West Coast at the wrong time.
I know.
You go to California in February.
I know. The whole last year we did this exact same tour basically,
Mm-hmm.
and it was warm, and we played disc golf every day. We'd wake up and play disc golf. That was like the thing. We played, I think, twice this past tour. It was like a completely
Chillier.
different tour. It was about 30 degrees colder everywhere we went.
Wow.
And it was at the exact same time too, like the same everything, but a completely different tour. So it's kind of a bummer. It's like everything is cold except for like San Diego, and LA was pretty warm too, but that was it. Otherwise, it was all, it was
Cold.
fall. Yeah,
Eh,
but
it
yeah,
happens.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kevin, so much
Yeah,
for being on
absolutely.
today. It's been
Thanks for
an
having
absolute.
me.
Yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah,
Catch Cory Wong on tour. Watch Kevin rip up the keyboards and maybe a Wurlitzer
yeah.
in
Let's hope.
February.
Fingers
Uh,
crossed. Yeah,
we'll find out. I definitely look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Hopefully, catching a date on the upcoming tour, and hopefully, you guys will be back in Toronto soon. But
yeah. I hope so.
no, people don't like coming up here. You guys are one of the regulars.
We used to come every tour, every East Coast. We'd come up to Toronto, and
Yeah.
we'd also do Vancouver on the other side. And we last year we canceled the show like a couple days before it, and we picked up another show in Eugene, Oregon instead.
Yeah, the border has not
yet.
been
Yeah.
border has not been fun since.
But we did this summer. It was fun.
We
We did like 3 shows in Canada this summer, and that was for these festivals. So it was fun to do that. Everything worked out fine.
Yeah.
So, but it's not on this coming. I don't know. I think we're still a little bit nervous. So
yeah, makes sense. Well,
but
soon
it will happen for sure.
Yes. Well, yeah. Everyone, go check out Kevin's new album.
Thank you.
And thank you very, very much for listening to this episode. We move through stormy weather. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.
Awesome.